you don't know, my name is Dov Barron. I'm the founder of FullMontyLeadership.com, where we provide you with the concrete soft skills to keep you and your company at the top. Authentic leadership, it's so important. Why? Well, you can't outsource authenticity. And if you're going to really have a company that works, it's got to be led by purpose-driven leaders in a purpose-driven organization, and that's what we're all about. We're about helping you to get to that. All right, so let's dive in. Now you know who I am. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me, of course, on Facebook at Dov Barron Leadership. You can find me on my own, my blog at Dov Barron, Full Monty Leadership, and just / blog on YouTube. And all the different outlets, including Entrepreneur Magazine and Thrive Global, Arianna Huffington's program, all kinds of different outlets. So search me out, come see me, say hello, share what we've got. I really hope that you find great value in it. I want to welcome you to today's episode of Dov Barron's Leadership Unscripted Show. It's a different show today, and I'll tell you why. Have you ever had... you were about to do something, you felt like you were fully prepared, and then you got woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning and realized you were way off course? Well, that's what happened to me this morning. I had been thinking about, ruminating on all the things I was going to talk to you about on this particular episode of the show, and as I was thinking about what I was going to share with you, I had done all my notes. And like I say, it's an unscripted show. It doesn't mean I don't have any notes. It doesn't mean I don't have any points that I want to bring up. Of course I do. And I usually think about that and consider that for about a week before we get together. And I had all that planned out. I knew what my notes were. I knew what it was that I wanted to cover. And like I said, then about 4 o'clock, just after 4 this morning, I woke up and decided that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something else. So that's what I'm going to do. At 4 o'clock this morning, I realized that the message I'd been considering delivering and ruminating about wasn't the one I needed to deliver to you. So can I share with you what I realized? I realized that I'd been keeping something of a secret. I had been holding something sort of tight to my chest, and I didn't even know why I was doing that. Moreover, the thing that I'd been keeping to myself, this secret, was exactly what I needed to share with you today. That's what it was. It was what I needed to share in order to assist you to tap into your own deep greatness. And that is around something that I like to call the overachiever's curse. The overachiever's curse. So let me sort of walk you through how this came about. A few months ago, I hand-picked a small group of individuals who were what you might call super high achievers. They're super high achieving individuals. And I wanted them to fly into Vancouver and meet with me for a day, which is very kindly and generously and graciously they did. So they came in. One of them was a Juilliard trained classical musician who had gone from that industry into the software industry and had dominated an entire industry with his software. Yeah. He'd gone on from that to be partners in what is probably the world's leading coach training organization in the world. That was just one of these guys. So another one of the guys was a guy who had been a very successful sports individual in a couple of different sports. Let me think about what he had done. He had played high-level sports in 2 different sports. He had brought the PGA golf into a city, into a brand new market that it had never been done before, and he now runs a media empire that publishes literally thousands of digital magazines online. In fact, some of those magazines probably came up on your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, without you even asking. iTunes puts them right onto your iPhone. So that's another one of those achievers. Another member of the group was someone who had an MBA from UC. He's a graduate there of the management school. He is a co-founder and chief operations officer of another company that deals in strengths and what's called strength finding in organizations and in individuals. He's a highly in-demand speaker. He has been on. He's spoken for the DEA, for the Food and Drug FDA rather. He spoke at Drexel University. That was another one. Then there was another guy who is a scholar, a very high accolade. He speaks 4 languages, speaks 3 languages fluently, reads 4 languages fluently. Like I said, PhD, professor, took several companies onto the NASDAQ, took them public, and now develops fractal information to develop artificial intelligence. So these are guys and people who were amazing achievers, doing all kinds of spectacular things. And so I brought them in around this idea of the overachiever's curse. We wanted to talk about that. So what's it all about? What's the overachiever's curse, the superachiever's curse all about? Well, of course, it might sound a bit sort of melodramatic to call it the overachiever or the superachiever's curse, but that is what it is. It's driven by the need to express the deep greatness that we've been talking about in this series. Yet, in many ways, it's the superachiever's curse does exactly the opposite than having people tap into that deep greatness. It in many ways pulls them away what we're really talking about here in deep greatness. Let me describe some of the aspects of the curse and see if you can relate to it. The curse often shows up in this insatiable hunger to achieve. It might look like you never stop. For some people, it might look like you are a workaholic. You might seem like a type A personality. But here's what's really interesting about it. Here's what's sort of fascinating about it is we often hold people who suffer from the superachiever's curse, we hold them in very high esteem. We hold them very high up. We see them as being magnificent. We see them as being amazing. We applaud them. We see them as supernatural in many ways. They're often the sort of trailblazers of not only their own industry but of other industries. They operate very often on less sleep than a lot of other people. They have resumes that are kind of awe-inspiring. By the way, if you're wondering why I keep moving my bum, it's because I'm sat on wet rocks. It's a bit uncomfortable. So they feel like the kind of people that you want to be. That's who these superachievers seem to be. Now, if any of this has sort of struck a chord with you, you've probably noticed that this isn't the way everybody goes through life. And maybe you figured out it's just the way you roll. If you are actually suffering from this superachiever's curse. And you'll feel like in some ways you're kind of wired differently than other people. that you've been maybe granted membership to sort of an exclusive club of like-minded performers. But the curse of the superachievers, of the overachievers, isn't obvious. In many ways, it's unconscious. In many ways, it's veiled. In many ways, it's, like I said, it's shrouded in this sense of what we see as awesomeness. Like we applaud it, we recognize it, we think it's magnificent. And you might see it through experiences like this. Someone asks you, and I want to give you this one because I think this is a way that I recognized that I was in fact struck by this curse. And it's this. Somebody asks you what you're working on, right? So they say, what are you up to? And you tell them. And they are like, wow, I can't believe you do all that. I can't believe you get all that done. I can't believe you're doing these magnificent things. They get really excited for you that you're doing all those things, yet they seem more excited about it than you do. And you might even sort of feel like you should feel more excited, but you're actually kind of bored even as you say it. You come away with thoughts, like I said, like, why aren't I as excited about this as everybody else is? So this is one of the ways that you can really sort of recognize if you've got the superachiever's curse. Another way, because, and again, I want to point out that these are ways that you'll recognize that you're actually not in your deep greatness. That in many ways you are pulled away from your deep greatness towards something else, which I'll get into in a minute. Another way that you might recognize that you actually have the superachiever's curse is that the shine of the new shiny object wears off very, very fast. And what's worse is it wears off quicker and quicker over time. That the new car just becomes a vehicle very, very quickly. That even that dream home just feels like a place you lay your head down within a short period of time. So just to be clear, let me share an example of the curse from someone who was in the midst of it. It's an actual example of what happened, played out. And it's, when I read this, it was kind of hard to read because it hit me how profound this was. It hit me how impactful it is and how familiar. I'm gonna read you what she said. And this is from a lady. You'll hear what it was about. She says, I never forgot the moment I found out my first book was going to get published. I was sitting in my loft and I got the news I wanted. News that I'd been waiting for. I waited for the feeling of achievement, she says. The feeling of gratitude and relief, but instead, I felt nothing. I felt nothing, she said. It was so bizarre and honestly disappointing because I spent a lifetime waiting for that moment when I would jump up and down, but it didn't come. I continued on my day thinking about, it's okay, maybe it'll come later. But it's 6 years later, she says, and it didn't come. 6 years later, it didn't come. And recently, she said, she had 2 more books published, and it still hasn't come. She keeps focusing on the next one. I understand this because it happened to me. I told you that in 1990, I fell off a mountain, and I got smashed to pieces. But before I fell, that was what I was suffering from. I was suffering from the superachiever's curse. I kept achieving more and more and more, but I never felt satisfied. I never felt like it actually made it. So what I want to put to you, what I want to have you get curious about is this. Are you actually pursuing your deep greatness, or are you pursuing something else? Because what I want to chat to you about, and we're almost out of time, but what I want you to grasp is this. I want you to imagine that you are about to take on a journey, and you're about to go to point B, and you're in a sail ship, and you're about to sail to this destination, and there's two of us about to sail to this destination, and we're both going to the same destination. It's that point on the map that we both decided. And we're both using compasses, but your compass is one that goes to magnetic north, and my compass is one that goes to true north. And as any mariner will tell you, there is a vast difference between those two things. And for the point of this understanding, what I would like you to grasp is that magnetic north is all those things that are external. It is all of those accolades. It is all of that material stuff that we end up pursuing. But that is magnetic north. It's not your true north. Your true north is your deep greatness. It is the thing that calls to you. It is your heart and your soul. And until you tap into that deep greatness within you, until you touch in on that place, you will never know what it's like to achieve deep greatness. And you can't do that without the courage to ask yourself the questions. Are you suffering from the overachiever's curse? Have you stopped looking for what truly matters and settled for the accolades and the applause of the world? So stay curious, my friends, stay curious if you are indeed pursuing magnetic north or your true north, because your true north contains your deep, deep greatness. Till next time, this is Dov Baron, FullMontyLeadership.com, saying stay curious, my friend, stay curious about what your true north really is. Till next time, this is Dov Baron, Full Monty Leadership, and I'm out.